It's just about that time again, ladies and gentlemen. It is September 1st, 2022, years after Jesus Christ died. Now, welcome to Gridiron Junkeez. On with the show. If we can switch to the other angle, bruv. I like that one better. Tip-top. That's a tip-top angle, yeah? So, this show has been doing way better than I could have ever expected. I want to thank everybody who is utilizing their voice on the platform. In the bio of TikTok, my bio says, represent your team and talk that shit respectfully. All right? Because, I mean, that's just what I've started to learn about the football world, or just kind of any sports world. If you're going to make takes on something, the only people that are going to say things back to you are the people that disagree with you. The people that like what you're saying, they might just like it. They're not going to say, oh yeah, bro, great points. No, they'll just like the video. They'll swipe up. And then the rest of the fucking comments are just like, worst take ever. Fuck this guy. He's an idiot. How does he have a studio? It's because I worked for it, you motherfucker. All right. It's not easy to get Austin to be here. Austin, say what's up to the people. He's behind the decks.
Chargers are going to the Super Bowl this year.
He has to represent the team and talk that shit respectfully. I think he's stupid. All right. But, you know, that's just what this show's about. Let's dive into what the show flow is going to consist of today. We got a very short first half because I'm wearing a collared shirt because I'm about to go play golf with the guest that we're going to have on the second half of the podcast, Willie White. He used to train my brother. All right. He also trains a lot of kids out here locally in Las Vegas to get them ready for the season. He's got a pretty big Rolodex of people that he knows, on top of being the coach of the B-GR8 702 7-on-7 team, which they contend. And I don't know enough about it, so we're going to fucking pepper him with questions when he gets in here. And I'm probably going to pepper his ass on the golf course here in a little bit because real men play golf too. That being said, Wednesday's recording, which gets released on Thursday, this show is about college football and the high school football landscape. So I just want to immediately dive into where I will be going tomorrow, or today, since you guys are listening on Thursday. San Jose State plays Portland State at San Jose State. You know my brother's a left tackle. I will be in attendance at that game. My father and I are going to record a podcast at the stadium before the game. And then on Friday, we got news that the players are going to have an off day. So the plan is to scramble up as many players as I can, possibly some that made some like highlight type plays, top players, get them on for a quick 5-10 minute interview and see what we can get. It should be a very interesting show for Saturday. We'll have picks and predictions there as well. But that encapsulates what to expect in the future. Good luck to San Jose State this year. I think personally, they had their win total was right at 6.5 in a lot of the sports books. I would not be afraid to hammer that over. All right, they got a tough one coming up next week at Auburn. But other than that, that team is hungry and they're led by a fucking crazy Cuban. So how could you not expect that team to do good? The one team that the sports books don't expect to do good this year, or at least not in the first game, is Notre Dame. There's a lot of speculation as to what Notre Dame will be like since Brian Kelly left down to LSU. They bring in a new coach. I'm sorry, Austin. Austin's just kind of dying back there, but it's okay. It's okay. A lot of speculation. Notre Dame, new coach, ranked number 5 to start off the season. Those preseason rankings are a little bit overrated because you truly don't know a team until you see them play at least a week. A lot gets exposed week ones. I mean, we've seen big teams get exposed week one year in and year out, and I really do like with the new playoff landscape that a lot of these teams are going to play harder teams earlier in the season. That being said, number 5 Notre Dame takes on number 2 Ohio State Saturday night. That'll be an electric night of college football. You open up the season with an absolute doozy, except it's not going to be a doozy. You have Ohio State, who return a lot of Heisman hopefuls. Smith and Jigba, C.J. Stroud is going to throw for 5,000 yards. possibly 50 touchdowns and rush for 10. I just predicted his stat line right there. That kid is, I believe, odds-on favorite to win the Heisman. They are 16.5-point favorites against the number 5 team in the nation. That just goes to show you, like, the skill gap, it should not be that wide, right? And the sportsbooks are really smart. But the skill gap should not be that wide between the 5th best team in the nation and the 2nd best team in the nation. But Ohio State just might be that good. So don't be afraid to take the Buckeyes minus 16.5. It's a new Notre Dame team. They're feeling it out. New coach. And that Ohio State team with their new with their coach, I wish I would have known his fucking name, but he's a little overweight, heavyset guy. Fucking, he puts the gas pedal down. All right, all gas, no brakes for Ohio State Saturday night versus the Fighting Irish. Moving on to my final point before we go into halftime is that USC is currently, in my opinion, based on their schedule, aligned to return to the glory days that they used to have. They come in ranked 14th in the nation in the preseason polls. They got a lot of fucking lollipop type games to start the season. They don't really get tested until week 7 against Utah, where they go to Utah, and that is one of the toughest places to play sports. I literally said it out loud as I was looking through the schedule, and Austin could attest for this. I said, oh my God, I'm going to go to that game. October 15th, USC versus Utah. If USC is undefeated up until that point and Utah is undefeated up until that point, you're going to look at another crazy top 10 matchup in one of the coolest stadiums in the world. USC, if they win that one, they don't get tested again until Notre Dame at the end of the season, bearing that nobody else in the Pac-12 really breaks out. But is this the year that USC returns back to their glory days? It's been a long time, USC. Everybody lives in this world where like 2006 happened like last year. You know what I mean? People put on those Matt Leinart highlights. They put on those Reggie Bush highlights, and they just like reminisce in what used to be. And honestly, if they are able to get rid of that mindset, right, of, oh my God, this is just another 2006 team. We're loaded up. It's the studs. It's Hollywood. If they're able to get rid of what their past stigma is and kind of blaze a new trail, I think you'll see the USC legacy get reinvigorated. But once again, they don't get tested again until October 15th against Utah. So we'll see then if this team is really about that action, boss. All that being said, we got Willie White coming up in the second half. Austin, take us into halftime. Let's get the fuck out of here. I'm going to go golf. I'm going to go golf with Willie White. I'm just going to go do it. I'm going to bring my golf clubs in here, and I'm going to set my golf clubs down next to me, probably. Maybe my scorecard behind me. Yeah, it's just going to happen. It's just going to happen. There was nothing to be mad about coming into the second half. I had an amazing time out golfing. I told you there'd be golf clubs like right fucking here, right? I went and played golf today with the guest of the second half, the person who works at the golf course and was able to get us on for free. My man, Willie White, to my right.
Yes, sir. How we doing today, George? You played well out there today.
I fucking crushed it. I did say before this podcast that I was going to pepper the golf ball a little bit today. I would say I did that.
You played pretty consistent. I was impressed. I was impressed. Yeah.
That's huge. That's all I look for is just like, other people to say I'm not half bad. And, in golf, it really doesn't take much. Like the separation between like your fucking dog shit to then like, if you just keep, like you said, keep it in play and you're,
absolutely
halfway decent golfer.
Absolutely.
So thank you again for that.
100%.
Let's do a quick little cheers here because it was hot as a motherfucker today.
110.
It was so hot and the mountains are blue.
Much needed.
Holy fuck, that's so good.
Much needed.
Okay. So my first question, obviously, because this is a new show and, I've had a couple of big name people on so far that people may have known.
Okay.
But for the people who don't know, who is Willie White?
Who is Willie White? Well, first thing I would say is a coach.
Okay.
I think that's the most important thing. And then the most valuable thing is a mentor. I think I'm a mentor to a lot of people out there. Yep. And then just an awesome person.
You are.
To be 100%. Like, I do a lot. Sometimes I bite off more than I can chew off, but, I have a lot of passion. There's one thing that you can't question about me is I'm a very passionate person, especially when it comes to the game of football. But, and then as far as business-wise, I'm the founder of a nonprofit called the B-GR8 Foundation.
Amazing.
Yeah. And in the foundation, we work on and we try to help student athletes develop in recruiting. We also work with training student athletes and then just try to help them build their brand, academic assistance and things like that. Anything that you would think you would have to...
The core foundation of what kids need going from high school to the next level.
Absolutely.
Is all of those things. And you just said, let's just fucking... Yep. Mash it all together, and it's the perfect combination in my eyes.
Yeah, 100%. Like most kids have a tutor, and then they'll have a trainer, and then they'll have a 7-on-7 team, and then so this is a one-stop shop.
Amazing.
And then it's probably be less than half the price. And since we're a nonprofit, you can even go get a sponsorship, and it can be free for you. So that's what we're trying to do. Is if
you hear that, people? If you're looking to fucking help the future of the world, contact this guy. Go back to him. Throw up the lower third. Yes,
sir. Yep. Yeah, you can hit us up, DMs, whatever. I mean, we're always looking for sponsorships. We're always looking to build rapport, especially with Las Vegas communities, especially with Black-owned community businesses, minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses. We're always looking to help out the community. So, yeah.
And I think what you're doing, like right now, we were talking about this a little bit early on, is just you're starting to do something that you really won't see reap any benefits really until 10, 15 years down the road. And that's what a lot of people don't understand when it comes to teaching, when it comes to coaching, when it comes to mentoring, that what you're doing at the moment is so valuable to the future of those kids. And I'm sure you've touched a lot of kids' lives, but is there any like special type players that, you've connected with and you've helped get to that next level?
Your brother being one of them. Junior is one of the very, very dear to my heart, especially through his process going through a pandemic, barely playing football. And he was a guy, and I guess my favorite guys are guys, one, who have good hearts, but two, are consistent, right? Like I asked your brother to show up at Ed Fountain at 5 a.m. When everyone else is sleeping. There was no school, you know what I mean? And he was there, and he knew he had to get better. He knew he had to grind, and, he's a guy I definitely think of, and I put up on that list for sure. But I mean, there's guys that don't even go play that or on that list that are just
go into those guys because sometimes it's not always right. And my brother, thank God, he's panned out. He has the size. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, it just sucks to say, but sometimes people just don't have the size to go to the next level. But it still doesn't change the heart, right? That fighting the motherfucking dog.
Yep.
So shout out to a couple of those kids.
I'm gonna shout out a guy named Cameron Sandoval, and he was a coach. This is when I was in Reno. He was a kid I was coaching, but he fights professionally now. He's trying to get to the UFC.
Oh, sick.
He's an incredible, person and human, but he was one of the best high school players I've ever coached. He was like 5'8", 145 pounds soaking wet. And I wouldn't go one-on-one with him right now. Like he's an absolute fearless animal. Definitely like one of the toughest, hardest working kids I've ever coached and ever met.
Shout out to him, man. Big dog.
Shout out to Cameron Sandoval. Absolutely. Absolutely. He's a dog. And he's killing it in fighting too. He's undefeated right now. Just trying to make a decision when he's going to go pro. So
do you know what the next step for him is? Is it like a tough, there's like a little promotion, Tough Enough out here. Is he going to do a Tough Enough fight, or is he
I'm not 100% sure. Like I know he fights like every 3 months, and he's getting bigger and bigger. So, I mean, I'll probably shout out his Instagram later on this or something, but he's a guy that I think in a couple years is definitely going to blow up in the fighting game.
Yeah,
and I think high school football helped him with that as far as showing up places on time, working hard, when shit isn't going your way, still finishing, fighting through adversity, all that stuff. So,
and let's just go to say this really quick. Like, you were a coach, like, before the nonprofit. So like, your football knowledge, your connections, your own personal life and mentality has, played a huge part into like these relationships you've made.
Absolutely.
Now, who in your life really like helped get you to that spot, would you say? Like, who kind of paved the way for you?
I mean, there's a ton of coaches, a ton of mentors of mine. I mean, if I really had to shout out people, it'd have to be my parents. I mean, my mom had me at 15, my dad was 17. They're still together till this day. It's pretty crazy.
That is.
But and they have my little brother too. But I never went without. Like, hey, I played baseball. If I needed a new bat, my dad got it for me. If I needed a trainer, he got it for me. I was never a kid that went without. And then I see a lot of athletes that I work with that if they had my parents, they'd probably go D1. You know what I mean? Now, I was a good player. I just didn't have the size. But, it wasn't I couldn't afford to go to a camp deal, or I couldn't, whatever I needed, I got. And I'm not saying my parents were rich by any means, but they were those type of parents. Yeah, if their son needed something to be successful, they did amazing. Everything. Yeah, and I was very blessed and fortunate. But there are kids out there that don't have that, and that is kind of with the nonprofit. That's why I wanted to start this nonprofit. How can we help those kids? Where can I go find those kids? The kids that don't have the stability or the resources at home. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where we can step in and be a big help. And
I really do think we've talked about it a shit ton on this show about NIL deals. Like, yes. It's changing the world, man, because now, back when we played, in high school, you weren't looked at as a dollar sign, and that college scholarship was a dollar sign, but was it really, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
And then you just heard about all those backdoor deals, like that a kid gets this or he gets that when he goes on a recruiting trip. Mm-hmm. It's going to make the game a lot easier for you, though. But I also feel like it might get a little oversaturated. Are some of these kids really worth millions of dollars right now in your eyes? Like the way you perceive money at this moment in time, and what you were worth at that age.
Yep.
Does that connect?
I think when you go into the millions, when I think about NIL, and some people aren't liking it, and they're definitely going to bring up some rules. I mean, it's just kind of the Wild Wild West right now. It's so new,
right?
And I think the kids should take advantage of it right now. Mm-hmm. But I think the millions is where it gets kind of crazy. Like, if you're an 18-year-old kid and you have, there's a kid out there with an $8 million NIL deal, and he can sling it. We actually played against him. Great, throws a great ball. When we played him, in a dogfight. Trey Galla actually had an interception off him. So it's Trey
Is that the kid that's going to Clemson with the dreads?
No, he's going to Tennessee.
Tennessee? Yeah, he's got the dreads. Yeah, I know
he's a great player, but I had a kid, Trey Galla. Shout out to Trey Galla. He's at the University of Mary. He plays corner there. D2, great player. He picked him off in a 7-on-7 tournament. Is he worth $8 million? You know what I mean? Yeah. So, like, I just feel like, that's a lot of pressure on a young man, too. I couldn't imagine being 18 years old and, like, having that much pressure on you. But I think NIL deals do help like the smaller athletes, the guys who are D2, like, you know what I mean? I remember being in college, not even, have enough money to buy toothpaste, you know what I mean? Or you know what I mean? Like anything. What about like the other sports besides football? Baseball players who are only on partials, volleyball players. Like, I think NIL is super important, but I think it's more important for the smaller school athletes than it is for these huge deals, these $8 million deal
where it gets blown out of proportion.
Yes.
Like it gets blown out of fucking proportion.
Yeah, it gets kind of crazy.
Because a lot of them are just trade deals anyways, right? Because it's like you connect with this one brand or company, they give you clothes, food, yada, yada, yada. You fucking post them on Instagram. That's your deal. But to say you're getting cash, you could do whatever the fuck you want with it. Yep. Whenever I'm asked for my birthday, like, what do you want, George? And I always just try to make it easy on people, like gift cards and stuff, because I'm a nice person. But I really want to say cash.
Yep.
I want to say cash every fucking time. And so it is very interesting that you highlight D2 NILs, because now, dude, it doesn't matter who the fuck you are.
Yeah.
As long as you know how to brand yourself, which is something that, you are helping kids do.
Absolutely. Yep. We're absolutely trying to get out there and help as many kids as possible. We're hoping that one day, we can provide enough sponsorships, enough funding for us to sponsor kids. and have a bunch of B-grade athletes out there. Like, send them care packages once a month, whether it's not even money, but what if it's just, like you said, a gift card, the Starbucks or something, a couple months, a little bit of bucks for them to take their girl on a date. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Little stuff like that, but
goes a long way.
It does.
In those dog days of like the football season. Holy shit. To get a little package.
Pencils, you know what I mean? Just little shit like that.
So you were able to connect with a lot of people on your journey. Cade McNamara, the so-called starting quarterback, right? Yep. From Michigan. He started all of the games last year. Beats Ohio State in an epic snow game. We all fucking watched it.
I was there live.
You were there?
And stormed the field. It was unbelievable.
So talk to me about that game.
Okay. All right. So kind of crazy. Like when obviously I coached Cade in Reno, but my girlfriend, her parents actually met at Michigan. That's actually kind of how we started dating. I was coaching at the time, and I kind of name dropped a little bit. I'm like, I don't know if you know football or anything, but the quarterback at the school I coach at's going to Michigan. Kind of like, trying to get it in. And she was like, oh my God, my parents went to Michigan, and oh my God, blah, blah, blah. It was just pretty insane.
That's how you met your girl?
That's how I met my girl. It was the first time I brought it up. I was just name dropping, and apparently her parents went there and met there.
So thanks to Cade McNamara without even knowing
he always says, he's like, when you guys get married, coach, I'm going to be at your wedding and tell you, like, it's because of me.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, he goes to Michigan, and it was pretty cool. Like, he was there 3 years, obviously the pandemic and stuff. And I always told him, like, hey, if you are starting and you're in the game, I will be there. Like, I don't care what I have to do. And fortunate enough, my girlfriend's parents are season ticket holders. So for
go
Christmas,
Big Blue.
Go Big Blues. For Christmas, he gave us the tickets. Shout out Bo Pikarski, great person. So yeah, that experience was unbelievable. I mean, especially if you're just a sports fan, any type of fan, I mean, that's probably the greatest, not football game, but contest in the world. I mean, so much tradition, so much history. Growing up on the West Coast, we don't really get to experience football like that.
Oh my God. There's such a lack of tradition.
Wait till you go to Auburn in 2 weeks. Like, you're going to really, you feel football. I don't know how to explain it. You just feel football. Like,
because the game. Okay, let's go back to the game. The game was snowing.
It was freezing.
Nobody
cold.
left the fucking seats.
It was freezing
filled.
cold.
It was filled,
and no one was sitting. Everyone was standing.
Holy!
I didn't sit one time, and to be honest, and I'm from Las Vegas. Like, I've never experienced cold like that in my life, and I was prepared. I had several layers on, but yeah, I mean, there wasn't one time I was thinking about how cold it was, and I was outside for like 12 hours straight.
Because the party, the pregame.
We were some of the first people there. I mean, we were some of the last people out because.
You stormed.
Well, we stormed the field, and then we were able to, because sometimes when you know the quarterback, you're able to go in and after hang out in the locker room a little bit after. So I was kind of kicking it. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I dapped up David Ajobo, who's a big time player. He got drafted. He's playing for the Ravens. Yeah, I told him, hey, defense wins championships. He agreed. And then so we saw Aiden Hutchinson in the
I was about to say, did you dap up Hutch?
I didn't dap him up.
Was he fucking moonwalking to some Michael Jackson celebrating?
Yeah. Hutch, he's much bigger than he looks in person too. I was just like, oh my God. But it was cool to be in that like atmosphere, and it was like the not the locker room, but like the family room after, and just I was hanging out with Cade and talking to Cade. But it was just cool to see, like, it kind of felt like after a big win in a high school game, like all their parents were there, and like everyone was just like so excited. Like, it was a special thing to kind of be a part of.
That game alone is a bowl game. And that it goes to show, right? Like, the tradition for me, I've been a football fan my entire life, so I understand the implications of what happened that day, and I can appreciate it from like the West Coast. But there is nothing. I would say the closest that you get, and I've never been to USC UCLA game, but I guess USC Notre Dame. And I've been to that game in SC, and I guess that kind of, it just depends. The thing is, West Coast fans are very like petty as fuck. Like at least the teams on the East Coast, when they suck, they'll at least have all their fans like shit talking the team. Yeah. Like on the West Coast, people just like fucking forget about you, and it's shitty.
Yeah, I mean, it was just cool. Like, even the tailgate was insane. I mean, you're talking, it was a college game, like Kirk Herbstreit was there, and all those guys. Like, it was just an insane environment. And I've been there a couple times now too, just from bringing recruits there. And, I'm kind of the Michigan plug. I'm well connected at Michigan, obviously, and then Michigan State too. Like East Lansing treats us really well too. They've offered a couple of my guys, so I like it up there, man. Michigan treats B-GR8 really, really well. We appreciate all the love. Yeah, we appreciate all the love.
We love to hear that. Except, I will touch on this, and I know you feel some type of way. And I don't know what the fuck Harbaugh's doing. Maybe the cargo pants are on a little too tight.
Yeah.
Maybe the Walmart cargo pants are on a little too tight. But he said that Cade McNamara is not going to start week 2. And it's like a really weird situation where it's like he is been your guy all the time last year.
Yep.
And now you're going to just blatantly before the season say that he's not going to play week 2. What the fuck's that about?
I'm not 100% sure what's going on, and I'm not. I definitely have an opinion on it, and obviously people will think I'm biased. But when I think about Cade, you can't take away like the ultra competitive. Like you can't coach being an ultra competitor. You can't coach just like being a killer. You can't coach like that clutch gene. And like I know that kid has it. And there was something that came out last week too. Like he's in program history at Michigan. He's thrown the least. He had like the highest completion percentage, and threw like the least interception percentage.
Touchdown interception ratio.
Something insane like that. I do think it's crazy. I mean, when you talk about a guy, he's a Big Ten champion. He leads them to the college football playoff. And not to mention, to be honest with you, he could have lost every game. He beat Ohio State. Like, what else do these Michigan? Matter. But this is like when we talk about West Coast football versus, that type of football. Like, fans out there, they're never satisfied. They're not petty, but they're just never satisfied.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
that's a good way to put it.
They're still searching for out because I'm just like, why are Michigan fans still like they don't believe in the kid? And it's just insane to me because I know who he is. But at the end of the day, I think having quarterback is a position where you can't be playing games. And I know that Cade was voted team captain by his peers, so I know the locker room knows who they want. Mm-hmm. And as far as is concerned, though, he's never not done what he was supposed to do. Like as far as this quarterback competition, like I'm sure he's going to step in and he's going to do what he's supposed to do again. Should he have to go prove himself again? I don't think so.
Right.
But he has to. And guess what? He's going to.
That's old little Harbaugh right there. Fucking kicking it psychological on the kids. He said, you were the starter last year. Big man on campus, big swinging dick. And that's probably how Harbaugh would have presented it too. Because he's a funny guy like that. He would have called him the big swinging dick. He said, you think you're the fucking head honcho? You're fucking benched week 2 before the season starts. How do you feel now?
Yeah.
And now Cade's probably been killing it. He's probably going to throw for like 7 touchdowns week 1.
I don't know. Let's see.
And just like solidify. Like
both games are
Harbaugh.
Mountain West teams too. It's like what is the test? I mean, nothing against Mountain West teams at all. Actually,
it's Hawaii. It's obvious. It's a lollipop game.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. Either way, I mean, I don't really care what happens. Cade McNamara has already proven he has nothing else to prove right now. Like he's a Big Ten champion, and he beat Ohio State. Like what else does this man have to prove when he went there? Because when he went there, no one thought he would start. Nobody. Because McCaffrey's brother was there. And as soon as I saw McCaffrey's brother transfer, I knew Cade McNamara was doing what he does best, pissing people off. Because I was a DB coach in Damani, right? So like so many practices.
Damani is where he was the player at.
He was the quarterback. Yeah. So every practice, me and him are getting after it. Mm-hmm. DB coaches and quarterbacks should have a good relationship, but they should compete a little. I mean, iron sharpens iron. I mean, I need to know if there's a bust, why'd he throw that ball? What did you see? And if he throws a bad ball and there's an interception, he has to do the same thing. So we worked well together, but we also competed and we respected each other. It was a mutual respect. There was times he would beat me to the locker room and in the morning for 0 period. We're watching film. He's there before me, and I'm like, damn, that makes me want to be better.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
and that's the little things, right? Like that's showing up at 5 a.m. for like junior and
watching film. Yeah, it's the little things for me, but. Again, regardless, I'm so proud of that kid, and he's a man now. I'm so proud of Cade and the man he's become, and I'm sure, no matter what. The last thing I'll touch is with the transfer portal now, I'm so proud of him for not running. You know what I mean? Because a lot of guys would have dipped out, especially because he kind of got sat at the end of the Georgia game last year, which I was pissed about. Mm-hmm. But, he stayed, and he looked in the eyes, and he's competing, man. I mean, I respect that. You know what I mean? You have to. Everyone else running away. This guy said, hey, no problem. I'll compete.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe that the number is it's a staggering number. It's like 55% of kids that enter the transfer portal never find another school. It's a dangerous, it's like the black hole of fucking college sports right now.
It is. I'm not a huge fan of the transfer portal. I think, but there are circumstances where it does help, and it does, and it can help a kid. But I'm just not a huge fan. Like, there's really no point in signing anything anymore. There's no commitment, and it shows. Like, even on my, it shows with everything now. Like, with high schools, kids are jumping ship, and with 7-on-7 teams, there's no, you know what I mean? There's really, well, like when we were growing up, loyalty was a big thing. Like, pride for who you're playing. I don't think that's really a thing anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, you're right. It's completely gone away. Like, high school rivalries used to be a thing.
Oh yeah.
And I guess they still somewhat exist, but pretty much most of them have fucking disintegrated.
Yep.
And it's like, that used to be a thing, like, where I would know that as a 6-year-old playing in the on the edge of the track, watching the game, seeing the fucking fans, and you're like, damn, this is a big game.
This
is gonna be me one day. And that's gone away all because of the fucking jumping ship party that everybody's having, bro.
Yep. It's kind of crazy, but
so top athletes in the city. I know you train a lot. B-GR8 is doing a lot of great things for Las Vegas. So who are some kids that are like making a noticeable change right now in the Vegas landscape?
Number one guy I would say would be David Washington Jr. Out of Arborview High School. He's a junior, class of 24. Kid's a freak, man. I mean, I've been working with David since he was in 7th grade. I was a sub. I was just moved home from Reno when I was subbing, and he was in my class. It'd been a rough day. You know, when you sub, your teacher, you used to teach,
right.
You leave your sub hey, these are the kids if you're struggling to ask. And David was on that list. So I call him over, and he had like a Phase 1 shirt on. I'm like, oh, you play ball? And at the time, he had good size, looked like a good young man and all this stuff, whatever. So I'm like, hey, man, I have some training. I just moved home. I just started kind of picking up with my training and stuff. And he comes out to a sandpit session, a really, really tough session, probably 6 a.m. in the morning with all my high school dogs in it. And he kept up, and he loved it. And it was pretty much like a match made in heaven, man. It's been awesome since. Like, been training him ever since. He was kind of a kid. Like, his freshman year was COVID year. He definitely would have been a starter on varsity as a freshman, but he's also a true. He didn't be held back or anything like that. He is a true.
He'll be 16 right now.
Yeah, he's 16 right now. He turned 16 in March. So, yeah. He's a true junior. Didn't be held back or anything like that. He probably will graduate early. So his first year in college will probably be 17. He'll probably go to that early semester.
Damn. Yeah, no, he'll redshirt a year, and then he'll do that whole thing. But he's got a lot of big schools after him.
For sure.
I was asking you where you think he's going to end up. I mean, you have a big influence in him. But what are just list like his top 5 if you were to think like there's.
I can't say. All I can really tell you is that David's from Texas. So we did a trip last summer where. Because I kind of like, I've been training him. I'm getting crazy 40 times. I'm like, oh, this is kind of different. I've been doing this a long time. And at the time, I've been doing it for like 5-6 years. I hadn't seen anything like it for someone so young. So I'm like, hey, let's go out to the South. You know, my grandmother actually works for Alabama University. She's like a dorm person there. So we stayed there, but we ended up putting a little trip together. We went to Ole Miss, Alabama, and Clemson in 3 days. And I remember and I remember David got told something by an adult. I'm not even going to call who it was, but they were like, bro, you're wasting your time going there. There are different breeds out there. And I just told him, like, well, but I believe that you are a different breed. And let's go. And if you're not, we're going to find out, you know. And we go out there. We're at Ole Miss first day. He gets an offer. SEC offer. Changes his life. Changes his life. It was unbelievable.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was crazy.
No. He doesn't belong out there, guys.
Yeah, it was
the
crazy.
Fuck out of here.
Yeah, and then we go to Bama. This is great. We go to Bama. He has a great camp. Goes off. And it's and so I was kind of in a rush. Like, we had to like move rental cars or whatever, and there was some stuff that he didn't really know what's going on. I don't have kids, but when I go on trips with kids, I feel what it's like. Like, I know what my parents are like. When you're stressed, you don't want the kid to know what's going on, but you know what I mean. But I was like stressed on the time crunch. I'm like, hey, like, did they ask you to stay after? Because we were asked to stay after at Ole Miss. He's like, no, coach, no one's asked me to stay after. I'm like, all right, but we kind of have to go. Like, let's get going. And then all of a sudden we hear, Coach White, you know, we turn around. It was a student assistant. They're like, hey, like, you know, Coach Saban would like to see you guys. Is there any way you can stay? Yeah, no problem.
Yes, coach.
Yeah.
Yes.
No problem. We'll hang out when we'll deal with the rental car stuff later. But, you know, we were able to sit down with Coach Saban, which was an unbelievable experience. And, you know, he told him straight up, he's like, hey, man, like, you can post whatever you want when you leave here. You know, at the time, again, he had no film because he was a freshman. His freshman year was COVID. So This is entering his sophomore year. And he goes, but until you have some film from varsity, like, I'm not willing to pull that trigger on you. But you can leave here and say, because he said his offers are non-reversible. So when he offers a kid, there's no way that kid cannot go there. Because there are some offers out there that are not let's say
like verbal commitment type stuff.
No. So let's say Alabama has one receiver scholarship. They offer it to both of us. Whoever commits first gets it. Right. And the other person won't. But when what he was telling us, when we offer someone, no matter what, you can come here. And he said he wasn't willing to give him that until he saw some film. So the biggest thing he told us, though, and I'll never forget this, is he was like, be where your feet are. He said, if you're in the classroom, be the best student you can be. If you're at home, be the best son and brother you can be. If you're on the field, be the best player and teammate you can be. And I'll never forget that. Like, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about that right now from Coach Saban. Be where your feet are, right? And that's kind of stayed with me. Like, yeah, he was telling him that, but I'm sitting here thinking the same thing. Like, man, like when I'm at home, I probably should be a better boyfriend, a better dog owner. You know what I mean? When I'm at the field, I should be the best coach possible. Not mixing either or, right? Like wherever you are, be the best that you can be at that very moment.
Absolutely.
That's crazy. Yeah.
It's kind of like what we've done here for the last 30 minutes. I mean, I think this is the best version of ourselves.
Yeah, for sure.
We've pulled it out. Saban would be proud.
Absolutely.
You're welcome, Coach.
Yeah.
No, it's no problem. Wow.
Other guys.
That's fucking huge. That's an enormous story. Now, you said you had one more school to go to after that.
Oh, we ended up going to Clemson after that. To be honest with you, man, it was a lot of travel in 3 days. He played okay. He did. He played okay in Clemson.
Right.
It was the third. To be honest with you, he was the first half. It was a long camp. It was like 4 hours. In the first camp, he had a couple drops, and I hope Dave doesn't see this and get too upset, but he had a couple drops. So I'm like, you know what, dude? They have Clemson has a golf course out there. I'm like, I'm gonna go fucking play 9. So I went over. I was like, I'm tired of watching this. I'm gonna let him do his thing. I think I'm making him nervous, but I'm gonna go play 9. And so, after that camp, I did talk to Dabo Sweeney a little bit about him, and he liked him and stuff, and the receiver coach liked him. He did mention him dropping the balls, and I wasn't making excuses. I'm like, hey, yes, coach, I get it, but it is our third camp. We we flew in, I think, to Memphis, Tennessee, and then drove all the way to South Carolina. You know what I mean? It was a crazy trip.
Jesus.
But they're business trips, right? And you got to do what you got to do. And if you're going to be on that side of town, on that side of the country, rather, I said, we might as well knock it out. But anyways, like about a month, so I didn't think Clemson was very interested. And about a month later, I get a call from the receiver coach. He's like, hey, this is for a lot of recruits out there. This next part. It's Coach Grisham. He's the receiver coach at Clemson. He calls me. He's like, hey, coach, I just want to piggyback on David. I said, obviously we could see he's explosive. And, he didn't have the best, day with his hands that day. But he said the biggest thing I remember is his eye contact. He said when I was coaching him, he was just looking me in the eyes and he said, yes, sir, every time. And he said, and his body language is the way he was accepting the coaching. He said, I just took a kid off my board right now because of his body language when I would try to coach him. And he said, David just moved up on that board. So, and so there's just, you never know what someone's evaluating.
Right.
You never know when someone's watching. And that's the kind of thing with David. Yes, amazing player. He jumps 41 inches in the air. It's insane. But his character, man, he's a great person.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Going back to your brother, they're great people before they're great athletes. And that just goes further than anything. Eventually the athletic stuff's over and, you got to be a good person.
Now, is this something that you look for in the people and the athletes that want to buy into your coaching? Because now this is your ship. Mm-hmm. Do you have the certain level of expectation for your kids? And if so, is it stated early on, or do you let them see what it's about? Because sometimes kids just truly don't know what that work looks like. They don't know what a standard is. So they might need that.
Yeah.
But what is that standard for B-Grade?
So, I'll be honest, man, and I've lost some kids because of it, and 7-on-7 is very loose, and guys, but I'm not really, bro. If you score, give the ball back to ref, let's get back, to the huddle. We don't need to be doing backflips and dances, and this year I did kind of cool off on that a little bit. I let the kids have some fun.
I feel it.
But
it's act like you've fucking been there before. There's coaches watching body language. We just went over this. Clemson University. Fucking learn.
But, 7-on-7 is different. So I have to do a better job separating me as a 7-on-7 coach and a football coach because they are two different things. However, I do want to be that program that, when we go out, we're going to do things the right way. We're just going to beat your ass and we're really not going to say a word to you. And it's just going to make you even more frustrated. We're just going to beat your ass and run back to the huddle. We're going to beat you. You know what I mean?
Those are the best.
I played this team in Idaho and Pylon a couple years ago. I think Junior might have been on that team. And dude, we got beat they showed up and it's just a bunch of regular looking guys. You know what I mean? But guess what? They did their job. They ran their route was 10 yards. They ran it 10 yards. You know what I mean? They caught everything. And if they're in their zone, they didn't bite on any zones. Like, they did their job. And I think they beat us like 35-6. I was like, who are these dudes? I think they won that tournament, like Idaho Boost or something like that.
Okay.
Dudes from Idaho, yeah. So like, to answer your question, there's not a lot of dudes you can do it. Our motto is it ain't easy, right? It says it on my back. I don't know if you guys can see it.
It ain't easy,
right?
Being cheesy,
right? And that's the truth. Like, it's not easy. If you want to be great at something, it's not easy. Like, this podcast is kicking off. It's going to be great, but I know it hasn't been easy kicking this thing off.
Fuck no, it hasn't. I can't wait to just complain on a YouTube video once, like, you guys shit on me in the comments all you want, but I'm here till fucking late nights, motherfuckers, posting this shit.
Putting in them real hours at the
Y'all
studio.
don't know about that work.
Right? Yeah.
It ain't easy.
It ain't easy, man. So like, and there's I personally, like, I have a fear of being average. So like, there's nothing wrong with being just good at something. You know what I mean? But I know from just my experiences, this is an episode, it's not I know it, but from my experiences, what it takes to be great, right? So as a coach, like in Reno, we won the Northern Championship and went to the state semifinals, right? Lost to Liberty by 3 in a dogfight. Like, I knew, and we didn't have great players. Yeah, we had a great quarterback, but like, we had like 35 guys and we were solid, but like, you know what I mean? It was really like the way we did things and how the kids approached it and how the coaches approached it. So I just like, there's a formula, I believe, to being great at something. And that's what we try to embody in our student athletes and our people and everyone who works with us, you know?
That's amazing, man. What you're doing is amazing right now. I want to do just one last thing. I wanted to play the video that San Jose State released 100%. Of my brother and know for 100% as well that you're going to be back in studio. I think we can lock you in as a recurring guest.
Yeah, I would love to be here. Yeah, absolutely.
Chop shop, man.
Yep. Talk football, talk high school ball all day. Yep.
This was good. Let's close out on my brother running out. He will be playing today because this episode will come out tomorrow. Awesome. He'll be playing today at 7:30 versus Portland State. Ooh. Find that game somewhere online. You know, you can find shit anywhere online these days. Austin, play the video and then run the logo. We're out of this motherfucker.
Ain't this what they've been waiting for?